Hello, friends. It's Thursday and not Wednesday. I apologize. I was up late last night installing flooring in my workspace because I'm now converting it over to rent out to long-term tenants, and I want them to have the best experience possible. So we were working on making a nice cozy space, and I've been smudging and charging the space just to create that good energy and good vibe to welcome in a new family or a person or people that I'm going to be sharing this space with. So that's where I'm actually doing my video from today. So I apologize for the late video. And I had a hypnosis client today, which is always just so beautiful. I love my job so much. I'm going to start posting some of my session audio. I've got permission from a few of my previous clients where I can share their audio with you. So I'm going to start doing that and just re-listening through on some and editing down the ends where like you don't really need some of that, the bits and bobs, and just learning how technology works. But it's really neat to be able to share with you in the future what a QHHT session entails and what that experience is like and the information that comes through. I personally find when I'm interacting with my clients during the interview portion and the trance portion, I get a lot of them mirroring stuff for myself to learn. And if it's helping me to heal while this person's healing, I mean, it definitely has benefits for the collective. Hence my business name, Karuna Wellness. Karuna is Sanskrit, and some people say it means we all suffer equally, like we all suffer together. But I like to turn that on its head and say that we all share gratitude together and compassion for oneself. So as I'm healing myself, you are healing, and the collective is healing, and vice versa. And it all funnels back to yourself or myself as well as the collective heals and others heal as you go along your journey. And that's why I love sharing my content. I love sharing my videos with you. And let's just get into what the heck we're going to talk about today. So today I wanted to discuss the energies that are coming in. As I've said previously in other videos, we are learning to hold this new natural resonance or vibration. We all have our own unique frequency or vibration that it's just how it determines what attracts to us. It helps determine kind of like our life path and kind of what's going to come our way. And what's happening is we're leveling up. So in that leveling up, our resonance or vibration or frequency is changing ever so slightly. It doesn't feel like it's like you're changing a whole octave or anything, but it's still particular to you. And we each have our own, we're all special snowflakes, however you want to see that. But it's just going to be a higher vibration, a higher frequency, and we're learning to hold that. And sometimes what happens is when a higher vibration comes through, literally molecules and cells, when they vibrate, that creates more heat, and they're literally vibrating more, and it creates that everything's shaking more. So sometimes what happens in the physical body, and I've experienced this too, as sometimes I've had to adjust to having sessions with clients that have a much higher vibration coming through in their sessions. My physical body undergoes an adjustment so that I can hold a safe and sacred space for my client, and I can feel it in my body. My body feels like it's vibrating, or I feel it in my chest, my heart, because my heart chakra is opening up and expanding. But sometimes my ego interprets that as anxiety, like, oh my gosh, this anxiety is coming up and what's wrong and what's happening. So just be mindful of that. If you've got a lot of things going on, it feels like, oh my gosh, just kind of tune in and see, is this old patterns, or is this my heart chakra opening up and it's kind of a new weird feeling that I'm adjusting to? So just keep that in mind. I personally have been noticing for the month of November a lot of old patterns, things that I was like, I've dealt with, I've healed, have come back up. And at first my ego said, oh, fuck, here we go again. Like, I don't want to deal with this. And then I came back around to, okay, thank you so much for bringing this up. I'm so glad I can revisit this from my healed and my more strengthened perspective, and from a totally different place than where I was in the past, where I had trouble navigating it. It took me years to identify things and to work through them. These old patterns came up again, manifesting in my body physically, having people external to myself mirroring things that my ego was doubting or unsure of, and they were projecting that onto me. And I've been able to see that from a strengthened perspective. Don't get me wrong, I definitely have all the negative thought patterns that kind of come through at first, like, oh my gosh, I'm a people pleaser, so what can I do? I fawn to people, right? I placate to them. So what can I do to serve this person, to make them feel better? And I'm putting their needs in front of mine, right? And mentally, but my actions, I catch myself and I go, you know what, Candice, how about we set healthy boundaries? And instead of projecting my wounds back on this person and being angry or upset or, meeting negative energy with negative energy, I'm going to be grateful for this experience, and not just fake grateful, but actually I feel gratitude and I feel very humbled to be having that experience. And I totally change everything, flip it on its head so that I can navigate that in a much different way. And that's kind of part of the fun of being here. So if you've been noticing old patterning coming up, you're not alone in that. We're all experiencing that. And that's us adjusting to this new vibration or resonance. So the old version of you, the past version of you, when you experience these things, think back at how different and how difficult that was for you to navigate versus now. It may feel tricky, it may feel hard, it may feel really annoying that it's coming back up, and this scenario or situation, that this loop that keeps finding you is returning or resurfacing. But see how you're handling it now. You've moved mountains. You've done so much work. And even if you're just kind of starting out on the spiritual journey, or you don't feel that you're really that tapped in, you're busy in your 3D life, you've still grown and you've still healed. You're always moving, you're always changing. That's never going to stop. That's never going to change. And you're still a different version of yourself than you were in the past. So it doesn't mean that doing the work is, you have to do all these things to be someone who is healed. It's just about the mental and emotional capacity and the space that you hold for certain situations and scenarios that come up for you. So good for you, just by being yourself. And for December, I'm starting to tune into that energy a little bit more as that month draws near. What I'm sensing and feeling is that we're going to feel more pinched and crammed, in the sense of all these energies that are seeming to resurface for us that seem really, really intense right now. We're going to start seeing that a little bit more in our lives, even more so, and in the collective. And the thing is, though, we're actually living in an era where the vibration of the planet and the consciousness and the awakened state of all of us in humanity is the highest and the best it's been in eons, and a very, very long time. It feels very intense because there's the contrast. So we have a lot more light, we'll call it. So that means it makes the dark seem that much darker, when really the dark is actually a lot lighter than it used to be. So that's why it feels so polar. But it's actually because we're so used to the lightness or the more conscious or awakened state that we're in. So when that icky stuff comes up, it's actually not as icky as it used to be, but it feels like it's more contrasting because of that. And what this does is that perception of that increased contrast brings us to that middle, that gray area, because that's where we want to be. You don't actually want to be all love and light all the time. And you don't want to be all dark and doom and gloom and ick all the time either. Because what happens is when you're in these states, it doesn't give you a full perspective. You're not getting the full perspective of life. And when you meet in that middle, the polarity, the duality, however you want to frame that, is what provides you with that middle ground and that centered and aligned approach. Right? You can see that with black and white, light and dark, positive and negative, divine masculine, divine feminine, all these things, yin and yang, all of these concepts kind of swirl about and feed into each other to keep us centered and aligned. So that's what's happening right now. So that's why, when these things are coming up, we are expressing gratitude for that. Thank you for this moment, because it's helping me to tap further into the light part of myself by having the dark part of myself present. Both need to be present to have the other there. You can't really grow into the light because the dark is what teaches us. It provides that contrast for us. right? That ick, we need that. Without that, it's like easy come, easy go. If you had all the love and light all the time, you wouldn't learn the lessons. The process would be negated. You're not going through any process. It's just kind of butterflies and rainbows. It's like having like a spoiled brat. We'd be spoiled and we'd think our shit don't stink. When really there's other things that need to be addressed on the way to keep that vibration. What happens is if it just is kind of handed to you and you're just there's no process to anchor that in. So it's just easy to slide back down, right? So you get these big ups and these big downs. What we're starting to see is we're starting to do this more, right? It's going to level out. It feels like this, but in actuality, it's this. We're just more highly sensitive and attuned to the changes. So hopefully that kind of helps you to feel a little more sane right now. And what I mean when I say we're going to be feeling more of a pinch, we're getting forced, I don't like the word forced, but that's what I'm going to use for now, into community more so, and leaning on each other and holding space for each other, because we're seeing the deconstruction of a lot of things within ourselves, the deconstruction of the old ways that maybe no longer serve us, old identities or constraints we've put on an identity, and deconstructing that and building it back up in a whole new way that maybe we're not familiar with in this lifetime, or it feels foreign and new, but it's actually something that we've done before in humanity. It's just been a very, very long time. So we're relearning how to embrace that and relearning how to walk, essentially. And in the collective, you're seeing that too. You're seeing, all the mistreatment of people, the trafficking, the wars, etc. These things are occurring external to us, and they are better than they used to be many, many eons ago, but it feels a lot worse. I'm not saying it's right that these things are happening. I'm not condoning them, but it feels intense, but it's not as bad as you think it is. That being said, it doesn't mean turn a blind eye and forget and, la, 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 it's not happening. It's just having awareness of it and know, that as you work within yourself, you will be better able and more equipped to handle the energies external to yourself, because it's all just a reflection of one another, essentially. So I'm going to draw a card for you guys and we'll end the video there. So for December, reaching out, building community, and we're reconstructing that community in a way that is different than we've seen before. We're going to see a big financial deconstruction, reconstruction in the next few months. In December, we're all going to notice that with the holiday season coming up and the way that, especially as North Americans, like to celebrate that holiday season, right? The consumerist, capitalist, we got to spend a lot of money and all those things. And we're going to start to feel that pinch, right? And, things are inflating. We're going to start noticing things aren't as accessible or easy to obtain. And we're going to have to start leaning on each other for things and tapping more into community. And that's how it should be. And unfortunately, it's the human condition, and I'm guilty as well, that we don't really do anything until there's a fire under our ass and we have to change, right? We get comfy, we get cozy, we get complacent. So things will keep getting thrown our way to continually help us to change and adapt and to grow positively. All right. This one says, fall into my arms, surrender, holding the opposites, extremes of life. So exactly what I was just discussing. We have the yin, the yang, the divine feminine, the divine masculine. We've got the dichotomy, the polarity, all of those things, the duality. I think I already said that, the black and the white. On either side, the light and the dark, coming together to align us. So it's going to feel like these extremes are happening, but they're not as wide and far apart as you think they are. We're just learning to better navigate them. We're getting into the nitty-gritty little details because we're more highly sensitive and attuned to that. So make sure you hold yourself in a space where you feel safe. If you're feeling that it coming up and you need that help, talk to your spirit guides, talk to your friends, talk to your family, do some meditation, journaling, healing, go for a walk out of nature, hug a fucking tree, go for a drive, scream into a pillow, stomp your feet, crank up the music and sing really loud. Whatever it is that you need to do to allow that catharsis, please do it. I condone it. All right. And just surrender to the experience. We're all here for this experience, and you're not experiencing it alone. And that is something that drives me to make these videos and to do the work that I do is that we are all holding space for each other. And the more that we all embrace that, the more change, the positive change we're going to see in this world. So we're not going to get caught up in all the logistics and bunged up in the mess of the collective. As we all handle things from in here and then slowly expand it out, what happens is that web gets stronger, okay? And it, can cover a community, a region of the world, the earth, whatever. And that's going to have a more impactful effect on the shit that's happening in the collective. Okay, so stay true to yourself. You are a sovereign being, and make sure that you reach out to others, hold sacred space for them, and allow yourself to receive that sacred space to be held for you as well. I love you lots. Have a wonderful evening.